Let's be completely honest. These should have been one helmet, with the Black Templar version being a helmet pattern like the Lieutenant stripe. Same could be said for the shoulder shrouds. I agree. Yes, of course I agree on this one. Now, it's been some time since I actually looked at the accolade rewards. I just focused on, unlocking all of the weapons that were available, which I did. And yeah, I gotta be honest, reused assets in the accolades rewards section is definitely unacceptable in my opinion. But still, I think the way they can do a temporary solution for this situation, if there is a reused asset, maybe make one of them unlockable with credits. I really have a bad taste in my mouth from jumping into like hard mode weeklies and using those accolades just to unlock a reused helmet, essentially. However, I'm in a weird situation. Right now, these are the only thing I can unlock at the moment, so that can be a bit, it's a bit unfortunate in a sense. Now, as far as the solution, yeah, I think one of these helmets should have been able to, get unlocked with credits at the very least. And yes, the devs need to avoid using reused assets as rewards for accolades. Or at the very least, I don't know, wait a patch or something. Having them right next to each other is definitely like, one of these could have been unlockable for credits at the very least. Now, there's definitely been a bit of a fallout from this situation. A lot of people have been criticizing certain cosmetics, and yeah, obviously right here is rightful criticism for this situation. So rightfully so, I see a lot of criticism in this situation. Now, the one thing that's been kind of bugging me is I seen a great post about the way the devs can, further allow us to customize helmets and everything. Like, dude, to be honest, this Black Templar shade or whatever, like the pattern definitely should be able to go on other helmets as well, as long as it's lore accurate, I guess. But I've seen a post where it mentioned basically allowing players to customize their laurels and everything like that. Now, for me personally, that's definitely something that will be in Space Marine 3. I'm not too sure we have the engine, maybe. I'm not sure if we have the mechanics for the devs to really go through and rework like the UI for customization, and it's just a lot of work. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about, but to be honest, it's a great idea to hopefully avoid situations like this in the future. And I will say, as a temporary solution, devs, don't use reused assets, and if you do reuse assets, at least have some sort of self-awareness to make sure that the other one can be unlocked with credits, so we don't feel like we're wasting 200 accolades on something we already bought. The idea of modular customization has already reached 3 million votes. Now, it's not like 3 million traditional votes. It's more like 30,000 or something like that. I forget. I don't really know how the economy works for that, but it's not 3 million players voting for this. But yeah, honestly, this is a great idea. Essentially, look at the example here. You start off with a beaky, then you get the beaky with the reef around the helmet, and then you have the beaky with the reef and the mohawk. Boom. I like the idea of this. Basically, this is a way to customize one helmet, and then you just add in the other parts of it, rather than, oh, here's the beaky with a reef and a skull. 200 accolades, and then spending another 200 accolades on a beaky with the same stuff, but also the mohawk. You know what I mean? I definitely like the idea of just like one beaky and then the other parts for it, definitely. But yeah, if you want to check this out, here is the information for the post on the Focus forums, I assume. But ultimately, yeah, this graphic says a lot to where we are with cosmetics. Like, dude, honestly, we're gonna have 50 different helmets by the end of this game lifespan, maybe even more, and it's basically just going to be different ways to make the beaky. You know what I mean? Currently, right now, if we had these helmets, this is 3 different helmets rather than just one helmet that you're able to customize. I really like the idea of this. Definitely the ability to modify the helmets. I think that's a Space Marine 3 thing for sure. But this idea will effectively save us from seeing too many repeated helmets, repeated assets. And then at the very least, for accolade rewards, we can see like one helmet, you pick up that one helmet, and then you pick up the customization for it that you likely already unlocked in a sense. But yeah, I gotta be honest, I definitely did not like seeing the reused helmets in the accolade section. There's other things we had to talk about, man. There's a lot of things that are starting to pop up right now, like as far as there's a potential Perry bug going on. Not too sure what's going on with that. So I've been keeping a close eye to what people have been, rightfully criticizing. And I definitely wanted to get this one out of the way first because I feel like it's true. Reused assets as accolade rewards, that's unacceptable. Like, straight up. And not to mention, this customization idea in the future can help us avoid this situation altogether, which is great. But man, I'm not looking forward to organizing a whole batch of helmets, dude. We're seriously gonna have around 50 helmets, and like there's going to be like 10 of them that are essentially the same helmet. Their customization needs a lot of streamlining. There needs to be something like picking your helmet base and then be able to toggle on-off forehead emblem options for every chapter rank, bionic eye variants, face mask exposed head options, head ornaments like crest, instead of making each option a completely new helmet that is missing a variation that people want. Mark 7 without laurels, but still with officer forehead markings. I hope it's something that gets streamlined a little bit in Space Marine 2 and definitely needs a complete overhaul for with Space Marine 3. So yeah, to be completely honest, I think the only way to really improve customization is with what they are detailing out right there to make it just a little bit more streamlined. However, I just don't think we're going to see that in Space Marine 2. I definitely think that should be the case for Space Marine 3. Straight up, yes, that needs to be the case. But yeah, right now, I just think the devs are working with what they can, but we are definitely starting to see some limitations, like 100%. Obviously, the new situation with reused assets is definitely not good. But still, I feel like if the devs were able to make the Black Templar shade, like if you were able to customize that with other helmets and everything, that would be cool. But yeah, right now it's just not possible, I think. At the very least, I think in patch 11 we got a lot of cool customization. But yeah, technically two of the rewards are technically reused assets. In my opinion, that should have been available for credits instead of accolades. But yeah, regardless, I just think anything that is a significant improvement for customization will be saved for Space Marine 3. I don't like the way we're in this situation right now either, where it's like, yeah, exactly. We're going to have like 50, 60 different helmets. It's going to be like the same helmets. It's basically just going to be Mark 7 with laurels. Mark 7 with laurels and, forehead markings. And then, yeah, then we're going to be asking for Mark 7 without laurels, but with the forehead markings. Yeah, this can definitely be pretty tedious. This can't be easier for the devs either, but it probably is. At the very least, maybe some of these helmets were made closer to launch and they're just adding them in. Yeah, I don't know. I honestly am definitely... I'm looking forward to the new champion skins and everything for sure, but I do think right now we are starting to see the limits of customization in this game. Outside of champion skins, I'm just not too sure what they can add in that will be an improvement to what we already have. I don't want to say the devs reached their limit with customization or anything like that, but it does feel like it's getting close to that scenario. My bet is they planned a Black Templar chapter pack but got rescheduled, so they split the leftover parts all over. I mean, that's a fair theory. I mean, honestly, okay. But like the thing is, if they had leftover parts, does that mean they canceled it if that was the case? I don't know. Do we really need a Black Templar chapter pack? I mean, I would like it. There are some comments underneath here saying that Salamander fans are going to be really mad about it, which is kind of funny. I think Salamander fans, they really are only concerned with Salamander cosmetics. And I will say, maybe even Salamander fans would want the Shade reused asset helmet or something. I don't know. Regardless, I've been seeing Salamanders, they've used the flame drip from the Dark Angels chapter pack. I think they've just been using that for some extra flame decals and stuff. It's been looking pretty good. Overall, I think, obviously, when it comes to chapter packs, it's not really good to see that the Salamander chapter pack actually was a little bit disappointing. And then we also see the Accolade shop with reused assets. Yeah, when you start to add in some of these stuff, when you start to add some of the stuff together, it definitely doesn't show a good sign for the future of cosmetics in this game. However, I really hope the devs have, they're probably cooking something up. If if they really did have a planned Black Templar chapter pack, but it was rescheduled, and they are using leftover parts for accolade rewards, first of all, they gotta stop doing that. First of all, if again, reused assets should be credits in the rewards. Maybe one of the original pieces should be accolade attainable. Anyway, if they really do have leftover parts from the Black Templar chapter pack, that means they are cooking something that looks cooler than what we are getting now for the Black Templars, I guess. Which maybe can leave us in an optimistic situation, but still, I gotta admit, yeah, this is like the first time where I think we're starting to see the chinks in the armor, essentially. Maybe a lot of the customization we have seen in the accolades reward section have been, created around a launch, and maybe they're just waiting to, put them out. I don't know. I just really hope the devs aren't, just throwing everything they have out there, essentially, and are working with scraps at the moment. I just really hope the devs are saving some of the best cosmetics for last. However, it definitely remains to be seen, 100%. I'm definitely very concerned for reused assets to show up again. That would be definitely a bit disappointing. And not to mention, all of this is happening, and we still don't have cape customization, man. Insane. Maybe one day we will be able to customize capes, but right now it's not looking bright, man. It is not looking bright. But yeah, let me know in the comments how you guys feel about this. Let me know in the comments if you think the devs hit a wall with customization. Did the devs basically just use up everything they have? Are the devs saving the best for last? Let's hope so, right? Let's hope so. Let's hope the devs aren't too limited in customization because of the way they built the game, essentially. But yeah, overall, this is definitely something that is going to, be on our radar. If we see the next wave of customization in the Accolade store to be a little bit low effort, I think people are going to be fed up, essentially. But yeah, for the most part, the devs been hitting it out of the park with customization. So whenever we see customization, get a little disappointing, whether it is reused assets in the Accolade store or the Salamander chapter pack, like that sort of situation, yeah, there's going to be a lot of upset fans. But we will see. We will see. Ultimately, I am not too concerned, but this is the first, in my opinion, the first example where the devs are showing their limitations, in a sense. But yeah, let me know in the comments how you guys feel about this, and thanks for watching.